guys, it's your girl Okwe and welcome to the All Shows Nigerian channel where I review Nollywood movies, series and reality TV shows. Today I'll be reviewing the latest Netflix movie titled Bloodvessel. I think it came out like a few days ago and everyone has been talking about this movie and I was like, you know what? I'm going to review it as soon as possible, and honestly I can see why there was a lot of hype with it. However, I have a couple of things that I feel like didn't really work out in the movie that I'm most likely going to talk about in this video. So if that sounds like your vibe, please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let's get into the review for this movie. So the way I'm going to review this particular movie is going to be based on its cast performance, movie creativity or originality, positives, negatives, and whatever else I have miscellaneous that I want to talk about regarding the movie. The movie plot was basically about 6 people fleeing a town devastated by oil pollution stowaway on a mysterious ship, not realizing the dangers that awaited them. In my opinion, in terms of cast performance, I think for the most part they all delivered an okay level of performance in their roles, although I feel like some characters were doing a bit too much. But then again, I feel like that could have been part of like the specific roles that they were supposed to play, if you get what I mean. Overall, I can't really say that anyone really stood out in their like parts or in the roles that they were supposed to play. I also don't know if majority of the cast speak the language that they were speaking in the movie like as their own native language, because for me, some people it came across as if they were just like picking the words the language words like one by one based off the scripts that they were given. I feel like some of them they didn't really embody the language that they were speaking. It just felt very monotonous and very one-toned, lacked intonations and all that. So honestly, to me, it was really hard for me to like place what language they were speaking in this movie, because honestly a lot of them spoke it in a very flat-toned way, and yeah, it just wasn't really convincing, and it just made their roles or their scenes or very like important parts of the movie, like important scenes, fall very like flat. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I felt regarding like the cast performance and like speaking the language that they were supposed to speak in the movie. In terms of movie creativity or originality, I feel like the movie was very creative, and I don't know if we've ever seen a Nollywood movie that revolves around like the Marines and like fugitives or like killers like fleeing by sea to cross the border and all those type of things. So that was really nice and refreshing to see. It's really nice to see that Nollywood isn't, it's taking a new approach in like the way they like navigate their storylines or navigate their movies, rather than like in the past where they usually came off as like predictable. I love that this movie wasn't necessarily predictable like usual when it comes to Nollywood movies, and I'm really excited to see more movies like this that have a lot of like creativity, have a lot of like originality to them, and don't just like fall under the category of like basic Nollywood movies that are recycled over and over and over again to us, the viewers. So they did a really good job, in my opinion, regarding like the creativity part. In terms of positives, I love that new actors were used in this movie and it wasn't star-studded at all. I really love that. I love when they use like fresh blood in movies. I love to see new people, the new generation of actors. And so far, I feel like a lot of them are really doing well. A lot of them are really delivering like really good performances, and I look forward to like the new generation or the next generation of like actors and actresses like in the industry. The cinematography of this movie was also really good. We had some really nice aerial and land shots like scenes and like parts of the movie. The boat scenes were also really nice, and the special effects in my opinion were really good in this movie. I love that most of the Nollywood movies these days are touching on vital like situations or like issues in our society as major parts of their movie storylines. For instance, in the Black Book, remember that one was centered on police brutality and things like that, and like the government. And in this one, the Blood Vessel, it was focused on like major oil spillage like in the rural parts of the country. So I love that again they touched on, or at least shed a little bit of light in like those kind of like things, those kind of like serious situations that are ongoing or had gone on in our country basically. So that was really nice to see. I loved seeing the progression among all the fugitives on the boat and seeing how they slowly became brothers and sisters over time and bonded over their quest for survival and ultimate freedom.
Even though low-key, that whole brotherhood and sisterhood that was going on with them kind of was short-lived due to some stupid characters.
If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. In terms of negatives, I didn't really have much negatives for this movie. I just feel like some scenes were moving a bit too fast for me. Sometimes I felt like I became a bit confused in like certain parts, like how we got to certain parts, and I felt like I had to like rewind a couple of times to like make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, that for me was a bit annoying because it was just like everything was just moving very fast paced, and I would have loved for some of the scenes to have been slowed down a little bit, like for us, or flowed a bit more smoothly and not feel too rushed like they felt. If you know what I'm talking about, comment down below your thoughts. I also feel like because of, like I said, things being rushed or things being too slow for some reason, some scenes that were meant to be moving and sad and emotional, unfortunately, fell a bit flat for me, and I didn't feel much emotions to them. I'm not going to talk about those scenes because I don't want to spoil this movie for those that have not watched the movie, but for those that have watched the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There were some emotional scenes in this particular movie, and I personally feel like I did not connect to them, unfortunately, and they just weren't too convincing for me. I also thought that the boat was held in Accra, Ghana, like when the inspector or the marine soldier was looking at the boat and he was trying to, the Brazilian guy was trying to bribe him and he didn't take the bribe, and he was like, oh, this boat is under our custody. I felt like the boat was under custody at that point, right? So I was a bit shocked when all of a sudden in another scene we saw that they were in Cape Verde, and I'm like, we didn't see anything to show that, oh, they escaped like being arrested in Ghana. So how did they all of a sudden arrive in Cape Verde? Things like that just didn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, and I also didn't understand why Abi went back to the village in the end if he was already like marked as one of the people that killed the soldiers from the beginning of the movie by his girlfriend's father. If you remember, there was a scene where the girlfriend's father identified him and was like, oh, he's probably the one that did the thing, and they went to go and search his mother's house and all that. So in my mind I thought, okay, automatically he's part of the like people that is tagged or is connected to that particular murder from the beginning. So it was very weird to me seeing him come back to the village, because didn't that mean that he was going to be detained once he was returned? I get that he wanted to inform the parents of his friends about their demise, but I just feel like that was a very unwise decision, in my opinion, for him to have returned back into the village, and could have put him in a lot of danger of getting arrested wrongfully for the killing of the soldier from the very beginning. So I didn't really understand that, and yeah, maybe I missed something, but it just didn't make sense to me, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, I think I'm going to rate this movie a 6 out of 10. The movie definitely had a lot of potential. I just wasn't sure if they really like reached that potential or capitalized much on it or executed it to the very end. So that's what I feel about this movie. Do I think this is a good watch? Absolutely. Regardless of all my criticism, overall, I think it was definitely a movie that had a lot of potential. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. You should definitely check it out. I'm also so sorry for the loss of Sylvester Ekanem, who played Tekena in this movie. I actually really loved his scenes in this movie, and even though he's deceased now from what like Netflix released a few days ago about his loss, I'm glad that he left such a like impacting legacy with this movie behind for many like myself to remember him by. So definitely my heart goes out to his family, and I hope that, you know, God comforts them during this very difficult time. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of this review. Comment down below what you guys thought about this movie if you have watched it, and if you haven't watched it, go and watch it, go and check it out, and then come back to the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are regarding this movie. That's the end of this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and please subscribe. We're on our road to 200 subscribers, and I really appreciate if you guys get us there before the end of the year. All right, take care, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.